The story comes from Matthew chapter 15. Matthew refers to her as the Canaanite woman. Mark's account in Mark chapter 7 refers to her as the Syrophoenician woman. That's a little more elegant to say. But in either case, she had an issue. She was suffering. She had a daughter that was suffering from a demon possession. She had a daughter that was suffering, and it was demonically based. She wasn't going to get help from this from the local EMTs, or she wasn't going to get any help for this from the doctor's office. There was nothing in this world that could be done for her. And to be honest, she was a remnant of a defeated people. She was a Canaanite. She was living surrounded by the people that had defeated her. And she existed. However, she found out that Jesus was somewhere staying. I don't know. But she found out. Maybe she was sitting by the window with her daughter and somebody walked by and said, I heard that this Jesus fellow was staying over here at this house. Jesus didn't want anybody to know it. But she found out that Jesus was staying there. She went to where Jesus was. She left behind her problem. She may have been motivated to find Jesus because of her problem, but you can't sit with your problems and go find Jesus. As she's leaving the house, maybe someone else in the house says, where are you going? She says, I'm going to find Jesus. They tell her, you're not going to get anything out of him. He's a Jew. You're not even a man. You have no standing in this community. You have no standing within religion. You haven't done the right things. You weren't born into the right household. You don't have the right lineage. You are a defeated enemy of the Jews. She gets outside her house. Maybe one of the neighbors says, where are you going? They tell her the same thing. You're not getting it. You're not going to be encouraged. But she keeps moving. Maybe she's motivated by what her daughter's going through, but she keeps moving. She keeps going ahead. She keeps trying to get there. She finally gets to where Jesus is. She meets up with his disciples. The disciples even tell Jesus, tell her to leave us alone. She's driving us up the wall. And Jesus refers to the disciples and says, I was sent but to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. I mean, the church people ain't helping her. The church people ain't encouraging her. Her neighbors are not encouraging her. Her household is not encouraging her. But she's going to where Jesus is. She finally gets to Jesus. She bows down and she says, Son of David, have mercy on me. Have mercy on my daughter. And Jesus says one of the most hurtful things. He says, it's not right to take the children's bread and toss it to their dogs. Now, commentators try to get around this. They try to say Jesus wasn't calling her a dog. He was. He's calling her a dog. But Jesus is not doing it in mean spirit. I think Jesus knew that at some point we're going to be reading this and he's making a point because he knows her. She doesn't argue with Jesus. She doesn't try to say, how dare you talk to me like that? You know, as an American citizen, as a citizen of the United States, you would have rose up and you'd have said, look, you can't talk to me like that. I'm just as good as any Jew out there. You know, you don't have the right just because you defeated my ancestors doesn't mean that you can get, you would have went that way. She doesn't even argue with Jesus. She says, of a truth, Lord, but even the dogs get to eat the crumbs that fall from the children's table. Now, the first thing I want you to notice about that is she's talking about provision. She knows that there is provision in God's kingdom for somebody just like her. There's kingdom provision for somebody just like you, just like me. But that's not the point. Here's the point. She doesn't argue with Jesus. She makes the statement, the dogs get to eat the crumbs that fall from the children's table. And Jesus says, you have great faith. It wasn't about her. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about how good I am or how good I can be or what I have accomplished or who my daddy is or who my parents are or what my lineage is or what church I have been attending for the last 40 years. It's not about those things. It's about who He is. And if Jesus is not the focus of your church or your congregation, you need to find someplace else. You don't go to Jesus because of who you are. It's about Him. Church is about Jesus. Your life is about Jesus. It's not about how good you are or what you can do to get there. And Jesus says, you have great faith. 2 times Jesus said you have great faith. One was the centurion. The other was this woman. Neither one of them were Jewish. Neither one of them had the heritage. Neither one of them had the background. Great faith is when you go to Jesus because that's who He is. Not because you studied enough. Not because you prayed enough. Not because you attended the right services enough. But because of Him. And He will not turn you away if you go to Him because of who He is. He knows you. He loves you anyway.